the band was started by Emilio Castillo, and him and Rocco Prestia, the bass player, they have been playing music together since the first day they played music. They started as the Gotham City crime fighters. They wore little Batman costumes and stuff. They eventually grew to the point where they became the Motowns. But no one was going to sign it. They felt no one was going to sign a band called the Motowns. So they changed their name to Tower Power. And the Fillmore West used to have a Tuesday night thing called Sounds of the City, which was essentially like a battle of the bands. So this was their last ditch effort. They felt that if this didn't happen, the band was breaking up. So they played at the Fillmore on this Tuesday night thing, Sounds of the City, and they won a recording contract. The original drummer was Emilio's brother. I was playing at that club in Oakland. A couple of the guys used to come and sit in. So they asked me if I was interested in coming to check out the band. So I went and I heard them at a place called Keystone Corner in San Francisco. As soon as I went to hear them, I knew there was no thought in my mind, well, you're not going to do it. I met Emilio. We played, worked out, we enjoyed each other. It was tough for him. He had to replace his brother, But, I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it, So July 23rd, we did our first gigs up in Lake Tahoe. And I remember we played there. We were up there for a week. We slept on the floor in the club and all this stuff. And it was great, Our first record, we pretty much played live, the East Bay Grease. And it was done very quickly. We did it in September 1970, and then it was out, I think, in November. So I joined the band in July. We recorded in September. It was out in November. We rehearse every day. We had our own rehearsal hall over in Berkeley. We got rid of that place, and then we rehearsed exclusively at Studio Instrument Rentals in San Francisco at Firth and Folsom. All the San Francisco bands rehearsed there. Santana, Billy Cobham, when he lived there was doing the Spectrum album. He lived in the Bay Area. His bands used to rehearse there. Herbie Hancock used to rehearse his bands there. Journey, when they started, it was like a kind of a hang. So I just remember being there all the time, and we'd work on our music, That was just a really, really cool thing. So it was an everyday thing. That's where we sort of, I think, developed our work habits, because today it's still pretty much an everyday thing. We work like crazy today, and I think it's just because that's how we do it. We've always done it that way, work every day at our music. It started changing in 1974 because when we made money, we started making money, we started getting loaded. And there was a lot of cocaine, there was a lot of heroin addiction, alcohol, And it went from being innocent partying to lifestyle. When people are abusing themselves that way, when people are using in that way, all the creative things that the creative gene in your life, whatever that may be, how big that may be, it starts to disintegrate. It starts to get smaller. It takes over, everything. I decided that I didn't want to do that. I asked myself, what would my father think? This is true. Maybe somebody's going to, if they listen to this, they'll think maybe, how naive and whatever. But this is what I thought. I thought, what would my father think if he saw me like this? I started walking away from, that lifestyle, And it ended up that in order for me to do that, I had to leave the band for a while, because it was just, to me, the creative thing was, starting to go. When dope is involved in a relationship, that's the commonality. The common things in your personality don't matter anymore. It's dope that matters. And so if you're using and I'm not, we're not going to get along. And then eventually it did take a pretty serious nosedive in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, when people, you know, sort of bottomed out. Mm-hmm. And then guys got sober. They got so far down there was no place for them to go but up, and changed their lives pretty dramatically. I mean, you know, when you're 23 years old, you're 25, you know, when that, you know, you're people of steel, you know. I mean, the party is not going to stop, you know. You don't think about consequence, you know, and kind of what's happening in your life. Now, I didn't think about being 61 when I was 23. I didn't think about that stuff, you know. When I see people in the news today, young musicians, you know, are having substance problems, I mean, that's part of it is their youth. I mean, you're not really an adult until way past 25. It's just the way it is, you know. Today, as you know, you look back on it, and you know, it's just amazing that I'm still here. I'm able to, you know, be making music with these guys again, you know, after what they've all been through, what we've all been through. Everybody's clean and sober, got their families, their lives, making great music, you know, enjoying each other.